And that's why I'm not investing in white areas. I'm investing in Africa and places where there's actually population growth. Now, I know that's not politically correct to say, but ultimately, my fiduciary responsibility is to my business and the people I advise. And I got to tell them what's really happening. And the reality is, if you're investing in areas that have majority white populations, long term, those investments are not going to be very good. Now,
It's Chrissy here once again. Welcome back to the channel. I am hoping that from wherever you are watching me from, you are doing alright and you are amazing. And yes, I know it's been a second, boy, hasn't it been? Yes, I've been away for a few days and I do apologize. I have missed you, but guys, allow me in the same breath to extend my appreciation to people that continuously give support to the channel, the new subscribers and returning ones, members on the channel. Shout out to Mr. Derek, who is a constant subscriber to my membership program. You mean a lot to me. And yeah, to everybody that is watching me, I just feel like I wish I could give you all a big hug if you ever make it to the continent. I'm talking about those of you that are outside of the continent. And for all my African people that are watching me, love and peace, yes, which is literally taking me towards today's episode. I feel like today's episode is gonna be a wake-up call, an eye-opener, and I'm hoping that we pick a bit of inspiration and what we are supposed to be doing. This palm-colored man gives reasons as to why he's not interested in investing in the West, in Europe, but rather in Africa. And he ends by summoning his people to come to the continent. Now, I know if you are pro-Black and you are a Pan-Africanist, that is something that is concerning and you are asking and wondering, why are they there? And I do bring a lot of episodes and I read your comments expressing how you feel about these people coming and living in the continent. And this man right here gives details why they are interested in the continent, but not just him. There's something that is very important that Dr. Jane Elliott has to say about this reality. But before we ask ourselves, why are they here? If you are a Black person watching me from the diaspora and you are indeed interested in this continent, I feel like the right question to ask yourself is, why am I not there? And the palm colors are there. Let's watch these clips. I will chip in later at the end with my a few insights and what we can do as Black people to make sure that we are the ones that are having dominion over the continent.
white people aren't having kids, and that's why I'm not investing in white areas. I'm investing in Africa and places where there's actually population growth. Now, I know that's not politically correct to say, but ultimately, my fiduciary responsibility is to my business and the people I advise. And I got to tell them what's really happening. And the reality is, if you're investing in areas that have majority white populations, long term, those investments are not going to be very good. Now, in the short term, yes, these investments in white based areas can be very good because you generally have two incomes in households and they throw all of their money into consumption or maybe having one or two kids. That's great on the short term. But long term, once these people get older, that's game over for them. Take Ghana, for example. In Ghana, a population right now is about 35, 36 million. Some people put it a little bit higher, but the population is projected this century by about 2050, 2060 to be more in that 60 to 70 million range. So the demand for goods and services, the demand for real estate, the demand for everything, the workforce is all going to be dramatically improved in Ghana. Whereas in these white areas, I mean, having one, two kids, population is just going to. And if you're in these areas long term, you better hope that there's immigration. Otherwise, the economy is just going to shut down. If you're looking to invest long term, consider Africa.
And right now, white people are really frightened. If you don't understand the destruction of Planned Parenthood offices, and you don't understand the wall that we're going to build on the southern border of the United States, you haven't read the book The Birth Dearth by Ben Wattenberg. Ben Wattenberg was a brilliant Jewish man who was a member of the American Enterprise Institute, and he wrote a book, the first paragraph of which says, "The main problem confronting the United States today is there aren't enough white babies being born in this country." He was an advisor to presidents of the United States. He wrote the book in 1987. He says if we don't change this and change it rapidly, white people will lose their numerical majority in this country, and this will no longer be a white man's land. Now, I'm not misrepresenting this. I'm telling you almost exactly what he says. He says there are 3 things we can do to solve this. Number 1, we could pay women to have babies, as they have been doing in Western European nations for years. Then he says, and these are his words, not mine, unfortunately, we would have to pay women of all colors to have babies, so we don't want to do that. He says the second thing we could do is increase the number of legal immigrants that are allowed into this country every year. Then once again he says, unfortunately, the vast majority of those wanting to come to this country today are people of color, so we don't want to do that. The third thing he says, and women had better pay attention to this, 60% of the fetuses that are aborted every year are white. If we could keep that 60% alive, that would solve our birth dearth. Does that sound like racism to you?
Can you talk a little bit about the trauma associated with?
The trauma associated with it?
Yeah.
One of the main traumas is it tells white people that they are superior because of the lack of melanin in their skin. And then they find out suddenly that we've got a black president. That's traumatic. That's where the trauma is. Living a lie, finding out the truth, is traumatic. Finding out now, recently, that within 30 years, white people will be in the numerical minority in this country is going to be traumatic. White people are scared to death right now, particularly white males. They're scared to death that they are going to lose their power in the future. And they are. But if you want to get ready for the future, if you want to be treated well in the future, treat others well in the present. What we do in the present constructs the future.
I do have an article, and if I do not read it for you, that will be cheating. And this is what this article says. By the way, this article was released on the 26th of March 2024, so it is very, very recent. And I want you to hear the panic in this article of what the palm-colored people are afraid of. Here is what they're saying. The world we and our ancestors have lived in for the last 3 centuries is ending, and we are entering a new one. Many things we have taken for granted will no longer be true. The reason is that, as a new report from the Lancet makes clear, 300 years of steady and often rapid population growth has ended. Statistics show that by 2100, global population will have peaked and started to decline. And the reason behind that is people all over the world are not having enough children to keep the populations stable, much less growing. In the last 60 years, and particularly the last 30, there has been a precipitous decline in birth rates everywhere. This is not just an issue for the West. Can you hear the panic? They are growing extinct, or they are extincting. And that is a fear. That is literally a summary of what this palm-colored man put out here in the first place, plus Professor Jane Elliott. This is happening in Japan, where just previous months they were literally paying black men to go and make their women pregnant. We have countries like Switzerland where they literally pay you to have kids. So this is not a joke. But since it is not a joke, what impact is it going to have on your Western societies that you do not want to live so bad? What that means is the West is crumbling. Babylon is falling. Yes. And those that understand are running away from it. They don't want to be destroyed with it. Meanwhile, our people, melanated people, are still holding and fighting for vanity that is about to. The reason as to why your populations are declining is very obvious. The West is bending more into ideologies that are preventing people from having kids. You all know the ideologies that I am talking about. I'm speaking about the alphabet agenda, where everyone is leaning towards transitioning. I am this, I am that. Including the fact that the inflation rates are also rising, the economies are falling, and people cannot afford to take care of their kids. People can't even afford to buy necessary groceries. So they are choosing to be childless. And this is more predominant in the palm-colored community. We have what we call Planned Parenthood too. And it is eating the society, the Western society. And then they are realizing and they know that it is the reality. These dynamics are not just speculations, these are not conspiracy theories anymore. That is why they are looking, those that still have brains to think, those that still want to create generational wealth, are now moving where the wealth is. Haven't you heard statements like Africa is the future? That's not to exaggerate or make Africans feel good. Ask yourself why the West is fighting so hard to have dominancy over Africa. The resources, the minerals, all of it is right here. That is why China is fighting to have us, and the Western America is also doing all it needs to do to make sure it still stays on the African continent. That's why you have some of your politicians siding with immigrants, because your countries without immigrants, they are going to fall. Why? These people are choosing not to have kids, and they are telling black people not to have kids too. They are turning black women into feminists, into hating men. Guess where people are busy popping out kids, even with statistics showing that, people barely survive on a cent. People barely survive on $1. It's Africa. So Africa being the future, our population is going high. And people that are saying Africa is overpopulated, no, it's a lie. It's a way of manipulating and analyzing our people to make sure that those that are more ambitious enough will take over what is left here. They have utilized and used up everything where they are at. And guess where the focus is at now? Africa. That's why you have a lot of measures here, even on the continent, to make an African woman infertile so that they don't pop out kids anymore. So my brother, my sister, if you claim to say you love the motherland, if you claim to love it so hard and you complain when palm-colored people are over here, ask yourself, why aren't you making the move already? I know it's not smooth, but it's not smooth for the palm-coloreds either. It's not smooth for the Chinese either. It's not smooth for anybody. What makes it easy for these people to endure all of these things, but then it is so hard for you to endure the same? What makes it so hard for you to come and grab the wealth and build generational wealth for yourself? We do a lot of talking, melanated queens and kings, and we do less of action. And that's where we get beaten up. Yes, when you see your brothers that are coming to the continent, some people make fun of them. Some people, predict them and they'll be like, yeah, you will fail. It's not without challenges, but nothing good comes easy. With this entire summarization, when these people are summoning their people, I'm gonna take this opportunity to invite and welcome all my people, all my tribe. I'm speaking of all the melanated queens and kings that are dispersed all over the world. Come to the motherland. I am summoning you. Come to Uganda. You have brothers that have made it here. Go to Ghana. You have brothers that are making it big there. Go to Nigeria. You have brothers that are making it big there. Afro Think Tank is in Nigeria. Go to South Africa. Come to Kenya. Come to Africa. I think you can do better. The things they are enjoying are supposed to be enjoyed by you. Do not complain when they take over spaces when you did not try to. What do you guys think? Put your thoughts in the comment section. If you were given a chance to come to the motherland and establish things, build generation wealth, would you take it? Super thank me if you find these episodes interesting. Subscribe to the channel, and of course, why don't you guys let me see you in another video. My name is Gracie and I do love you all. Bye.